Today is a WRAL weather alert day as we watch a cluster of thunderstorms that could move into our area later this evening. We're under a level 1 risk for severe storms. I'll walk you through what could happen this evening.
Meantime, Sky 5 is live over Edgecombe County this noon, where we've learned of serious injuries. Stand by for live team coverage of the tornado aftermath.
We're working to learn more about the storm's damage at Pfizer. How will employees be compensated? And will this cause a shortage in prescription drugs?
And breaking news this noon, state lawmakers are moving closer to having more casinos in North Carolina. You're looking live right now. We have some images from Edgecombe County we'd like to show you courtesy of Sky 5 as neighbors, homeowners, and business owners are combing through debris, salvaging, trying to find what they can after an EF3 tornado touched down. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot to tell you this noon. We do know this afternoon, North Carolina Insurance Commissioner and State Fire Marshal Mike Causey will tour tornado damaged areas and offer assistance. The state is also making special agents available to help storm survivors avoid falling victim to predators. We have live team coverage of the storm damage over the next hour.
And we also have a level 1 risk for severe storms this evening. There's a cluster of storms moving in and could bring some wind damage.
Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at when to expect these storms.
Here's a look, of course, at our level 1 risk for severe storms. It covers most of the viewing area. At one point yesterday and the day before, our southwestern counties were under a level 2 risk for severe storms. But it looks like there's the potential for some of these storms to move farther south into South Carolina. And that's going to be the big question of what happens with this during this afternoon and evening. Let's take a look at the big picture. We have a cluster of thunderstorms right here. This is the one that we're going to be watching for later on this evening. You can see a lot of lightning with this. Right now, there are no warnings associated with it, but this is the area that we'd be watching very closely. So you can see it. We'll put it in the circle, and it's headed down towards South Carolina, but some of that could clip us here in North Carolina. Let's take a look at what's happening out there. And here's a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. Everything is quiet at the moment, but this is a look at what we could see in terms of futurecast. And so right now, we're looking at some cloudy skies. We could end up, as we get into the evening, we'd be talking after 5 or 6 o'clock, seeing part of that system starting to drop in and helping to bring us that potential for some scattered thunderstorms. Here's a look at the wider view of that, and you can see it developing here, moving through Tennessee, and then dropping down to the south. Watch this band of thunderstorms coming through the Piedmont and then clipping part of our viewing area, especially the southern portion of the viewing area. Let's go a little bit closer to that now. And again, this is that same run of the computer models. Here comes that line of thunderstorms from Durham to Raleigh to Southern Pines. That's going to be around midnight into the early morning hours. So we'll see how that happens. It may be that it ends up being far south and not in our viewing area, but if it does head far enough north, we would have the potential for some severe storms.
Elizabeth, thanks. WRAL's Brian Schrader was in Sky 5 during our continuous coverage yesterday, bringing us the first images of the storm in Nash County. He is back in the air this noon with a look at the damage over Edgecombe County. Brian.
Renee, we're getting our first aerial view of some of this damage on Cokertown Road. Want to show you outside Sky 5 here, this damaged building. This is on Cokertown Road just east of Highway 33, and as we were following the path of the tornado out here, it lifted up off the ground for quite a while. We didn't see much damage, but then it touched down right here, destroying that building, and then you could see where it shredded a lot of this tobacco field here. I'd say about a quarter of the crop there is damaged, and then the tornado blew onto the east. As you see how it just took pieces of that building and other buildings and threw it down the road. I've measured debris about a half mile from that initial touchdown point. So a lot of damage here on Cokertown Road in Edgecombe County. We're going to be in the air through this entire newscast, looking at some of the sites along the path of the tornado and giving you an update on how the cleanup is going. Renee?
Brian, thank you for those aerial views. Right now, crews are assessing the damage at Pfizer's plant in Rocky Mount. That facility employs thousands of people. It also supplies drugs to medical facilities around the world. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live outside Pfizer with what we're learning about the impact this will have on production there. Matt.
Yeah, Renee, from the front of the Pfizer facility here, you really don't see a lot of that damage until you look over here. There's a fence line that was ripped down, and you can see all these crews, power crews, tree cleaning crews that are out here. They are starting the work to make these repairs. But I want to bring you over to the front of this building here, the entranceway. That sign right there, site closed. We have learned within the last hour from an official here in Rocky Mount that this facility is closed and will be closed until further notice. I want to show you some of the video to explain why this damage here. A video from a viewer shows that tornado as it moved across the parking lot of the Pfizer plant yesterday afternoon. You could see the debris spinning through the air there. All those cars, all those employees, some of them out to lunch, some of them in the parking lot there. Sky 5 flew over the facility this morning. A storage and distribution building were completely destroyed from what officials here are telling us. The roof ripped off, torn apart. The Nash County Sheriff tells WRAL 50,000 pallets of medicine may be damaged inside there. According to Pfizer's website for this facility, it produces nearly 25% of the sterile injectables for hospitals all across the country. So you can imagine the impact of this tornado on that supply here. This also employs about 2,400 people here at this plant. So right now, those people are not able to get inside there. The site is closed while these repairs are being made. Now, we've reached out to Pfizer several times throughout the morning here to figure out what is going to happen for those employees. What are they going to be doing? Are they going to offer them some sort of assistance here? The only thing that Pfizer has told us is, quote, we are assessing this situation to determine the impact on production here. Also, just within the next 30 minutes or so, we do expect Representative Alan Chesser, who represents this area in the State House, as well as House Speaker Tim Moore. I'm told they are heading down this way. They want to get a look at some of the damage here. They're being told that Pfizer's CEO may travel here and visit this site as early as tomorrow to see what they can do here.
50,000 pallets of medicine destroyed, and who knows when production will resume. So big impacts there at Pfizer plant. Keep digging for us, Matt. Thank you.
And Renee, right near there, dozens of children hunkered down at a daycare facility right near that Pfizer plant in Nash County. And WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live at St. Stephen's Loving Daycare with that story. Destiny.
Well, I talked to a mom who said that she literally had to run barefoot through traffic yesterday to get to her son during all of that chaos. And now the focus here is on cleanup. If you look behind me, you can see that they're working on that debris, lots of downed trees that they have broken up to try to help get things as close to normal as possible. Not too far from here, I also stopped by a home where his roof was pretty severely damaged. But he said when that storm actually came through, he had no idea just how severe it would actually be. Luckily for him, he says that he has family who lives on either side of him, and he says that that home has sentimental value to him and his family.
It's on the same spot that the old house was that I grew up in, and my parents had lived here and my grandparents had lived here.
Back here at the daycare center, I've seen multiple people stop by and offer their support to the owner here. We'll hear from the mother that I mentioned earlier who said that she was racing to get to her child. We'll hear from her later on today.
Destiny Patterson live in Nash County for us with that update. Destiny, thank you. Coming up in our next half hour, WRAL meteorologist Kat Campbell will join us live in Nash County from one of the neighborhoods heavily damaged by that EF3 tornado. Here's a reminder, be sure you have the WRAL weather app loaded on your phone. It's the best way to make sure you can get the alerts for your area when severe weather like this threatens.
New this noon, State House and Senate leaders are moving closer to a deal on allowing more casinos in North Carolina. WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with what this could mean for 4 counties in our state, including one here in the Triangle area. Ken, this is big.
Huge news, Renee. House Speaker Tim Moore and Senate Majority Leader Phil Berger are hoping a deal could be done by this year. The proposal would allow casinos in Nash County, Anson County, and Rockingham County. A 4th casino could be added in the eastern region of the state to be run by the Lumbee tribe. Now, the casinos will be part of what lawmakers are calling entertainment districts that will also include hotels, bars, and restaurants. The counties were chosen after an economic impact study. Now, House Speaker Tim Moore says he is hearing positive feedback from leaders in the aforementioned counties.
You're seeing a lot of rural legislators, particularly those whose areas would benefit from this. You look up in the northeastern part of the state, you look down around Anson County, those two particularly, which really have some significant challenges. And the response that we're hearing from legislators from those regions has been supportive.
Well, the deal would also legalize what are called video lottery terminals. These terminals would be similar to video poker or fish tables, but they would be run by the State Lottery Commission. The state would license gaming machines and get a cut of that revenue. Any machines not licensed by the state would be confiscated. Now, there's a possibility the proposal could be in the state budget. Negotiations of that are still ongoing. Lawmakers are hoping to make a deal on both the gambling and budget by next month.
Ken Smith, thank you. There is a winner of the $1 billion Powerball jackpot. The lottery says a single ticket sold in Los Angeles matched all 5 numbers and the Powerball. The winner will have the option of choosing the lump sum payment of more than $516 million before taxes. Here are the winning numbers. 3 tickets in North Carolina matched 4 numbers and the Powerball for a $50,000 prize. The numbers are 7, 10, 11, 13, and 24. Powerball was 24. The Power Play was 2.
Next at noon, a free tuition flap at UNC. The chancellor on the hot seat explaining the idea to the Board of Governors.
Also, breastfeeding in public. What a mom is saying after being asked to leave a water park in Georgia for nursing her baby.
Plus, knives in a carry-on bag in Boston. How many TS agents found and what they did about it.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
In the last hour, Durham City Councilman Leonardo Williams announced he will run for mayor. Williams is serving his first term on City Council. He told WRAL he is running to be, quote, a bridge builder, and that's what Durham needs in this moment. I'm ready to deliver. He joins the growing list of candidates seeking to replace Mayor Elaine O'Neill, who is not running again.
The idea of free tuition for some in-state students has caused some controversy at the highest levels of the UNC governing body. Chancellor Kevin Guskiewicz made the announcement earlier this month that UNC would provide free tuition for incoming undergraduates whose families make less than $80,000 a year. He was in the hot seat explaining that decision to the Board of Governors. WRAL's Monica Casey was there.
Expanding access to education. That's the goal of a new initiative at UNC. Carolina will provide free tuition for incoming in-state undergraduates whose families make less than $80,000. Chancellor Kevin Guskiewicz announced the plan in early July.
And this is an important time nationwide, as I mentioned earlier, with the concerns around student debt. And to reassure families such that the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is for all North Carolinians.
The timing and rollout right after the Supreme Court's decision striking down affirmative action ruffled feathers on the Board of Governors.
Horrible timing. We get an F on timing. For it to be perceived that it was done in reaction to the Supreme Court decision is just a terrible, terrible communication error on your part.
Chair Randy Ramsey denounced what he called a lack of communication, which Guskiewicz acknowledged.
It may be within your authority, but this was a big announcement. And I think just a little common courtesy would have gone a long way. And I don't see a lot of that here.
Despite the controversy, multiple board members expressed strong support.
Tuition should never, ever be a barrier to our citizens enjoying the benefits of the constituent institutions of the University of North Carolina.
In Raleigh, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
No state dollars will be used for tuition assistance. The chancellor says the money will be paid through philanthropic sources. The new policy starts in the fall of 2024.
The Florida Board of Education approved a controversial set of standards for how Black history should be taught in the state's public schools. The new K-12 standards include teaching not just about violence against African Americans, but also violence by African Americans. The standards also include teaching that enslaved people developed skills that in some cases could be used for their personal benefit. The head of the NAACP says it is imperative people understand the horrors of slavery and Jim Crow violated human rights. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin plans to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to review his conviction for second-degree murder in the killing of George Floyd. This comes after the Minnesota Supreme Court denied Chauvin's appeal. Chauvin's attorneys say a state district court deprived the former officer of his right to a fair trial when they denied his request for a change of venue. A jury convicted Chauvin of Floyd's murder, and he is serving a 22-year sentence.
A breastfeeding mother says she was humiliated after the manager of a water park in Georgia asked her to leave for nursing her 11-month-old son in public. The mother described her previous experiences as a breastfeeding mom in a public Facebook post. She says the manager told her she could not do that as a courtesy to other people. The incident raised questions about the treatment of breastfeeding mothers in public spaces.
No one else is told to eat under a cover or to, go to the bathroom to eat or to go eat in their car. But babies aren't allowed to eat in public because unless it's a bottle's fine. Everybody thinks a bottle's okay, but people are just, oh, a breast, oh my goodness, because they've sexualized it and it's gross.
Since the Facebook post, the manager has apologized and said he was unaware of the state law that allows breastfeeding in public areas. He says their company will now comply with the law. The mother asked for a refund for her season pass. She has not yet received her money.
The fiancé of an Arizona woman attacked in Yellowstone National Park by a bison is speaking out about their ordeal. Chris Whitehill and his fiancée Amber Harris went on vacation on July 17th. The day was ideal as they both sat on a lakeside path. Chris is an avid outdoorsman, and he noticed a bison about 50-60 yards away. He says the bison turned his attention on Amber, and as they started to move away slowly, the bison suddenly charged.
He scratched at the ground, and I started screaming and yelling and trying to distract him, and he charged at Amber, hitting her square on into the abdomen. And I looked over my shoulder, and she was 8-10 feet in the air and landed right on her back.
Amber has 7 fractured vertebrae and both lungs partially collapsed from the incident. Whitehill says to stay in your vehicles when you see wild animals because of their unpredictable activity in nature out there. Wild animals, right?
And potentially wild weather to come. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has an update on our severe weather risk, a change for our southwestern counties.
So the Storm Prediction Center is the one who issues these level 1 through 5 risks for severe storms across our area and the entire country. And they generally do an update in the noon hour. And this is the update that just came in a couple of minutes ago. And so they added parts of Moore County, most of Moore County, all of Hope County and part of Cumberland County back into that level 2 risk for severe storms. If you happen to catch the beginning of the newscast, I was showing we're going to be seeing a cluster of thunderstorms that's going to be diving from the northwest. The big question is it going to clip part of our viewing area, or is it going to be too far to the south? So we're going to revisit that again. Right now, it looks like wind damage would be the biggest threat from this system as it comes in later on this evening. Just want to show you everything is quiet right now. We don't have any cells that have popped up in our viewing area or near us. So we'll widen out and you can see here's the cluster of thunderstorms that we're watching very closely. And there may be more than one of these. This one is moving into the mountains of North Carolina and down into South Carolina. But there is likely to be a second one that redevelops and potentially clips part of our viewing area. So a lot of lightning with that and the potential for severe storms. We take a look at Futurecast and we'll push this through time. There's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we can start to watch some of these clusters of thunderstorms. So this is 9 p.m. and you can see it's back to the west. And this is a little bit slower than the previous run that we were looking at early this morning. But this one would be the worst case scenario for our area. This is going to be right around midnight with this line of thunderstorms affecting folks from Wake County southward. It's out of here by about 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. We'll take a look at a different version. That was our in-house model. This is a different computer model. And you can see right now, here's that cluster of thunderstorms. It's in the mountains right now. That weakens and dives south into South Carolina. But then another one develops and also dives south even farther to the west down into Georgia and South Carolina. And that leaves us without much of a chance for thunderstorms in our area today. So we're going to just be watching. It'll depend on how far east or how far west these systems that are back to the west of of us move across our area. We take a look at what's happening outside right now. We had beautiful clear skies this morning. We have a lot of cumulus clouds that have developed. 88 degrees is our temperature in the triangle, and 71 is our dew point. So it's heating up definitely with a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. We have a high heat index, especially in the south. Right now it feels like 99 in Clinton and 99 in Fayetteville, 97 in Goldsboro. Of course, feeling very comfortable at 82 up in Roxborough. What a difference across our area. Feels like 93 right now in Southern Pine. So actual high temperatures should be close to normal. 91 in Raleigh, 90 in Durham, 91 in Fayetteville. And of course, we have our muggy meter looking at 71 degrees right now is the dew point. And so again, we're going to feel like close to 100 today and around 102 for tomorrow. After that, we're going to see a nice break in our potential for heat and humidity. It's going to feel much more comfortable for us over the weekend. The blue shaded area is where we have temperatures below normal, and there in yellow we have temperatures above normal. And notice how everything just sort of quiets down and will be closer to normal over the weekend. So 91 today, 95 tomorrow with the heat index in the triple digits, and then we get a little bit of a break from the heat and humidity coming up for the weekend. And we'll talk about that in just a little more detail. We do have a view from Sky 5. I don't know if we still have that up to talk about. So this is Sky 5 over Nash County. And of course, over the last a little under 24 hours, we've shown you a lot of pictures and video. This is a live look at one of the houses there in Nash County where trees fell, where we had tornado damage. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is there in Nash County. She's coming up at 12:30 with more details about how this tornado traveled through that area.
Toppling trees onto homes there. As we stay on top of the devastating tornado damage in Nash and Edgecombe counties, we get a look at how climate change plays a role. Ahead on our news at 5:30, we break down how a warmer climate contributes to the storms that create tornadoes.
And at 6, 500 Side is digging into how criminals are abusing temporary tags. Our team found out what makes them so hard to trace and the proposed overhaul that could fix the problem. Also ahead this noon, we all know teachers tend to dip into their own personal accounts to help their students. Coming up, the assist they're getting from Sam's Club.
And as the old saying goes, the early bird gets the worm, the late bird gets none. Coming up, what a new study shows about more Americans grabbing their essentials ahead of time.
Backstage production workers could shut down Broadway shows as soon as tomorrow. The union that represents 1,500 backstage production workers, including stagehands, hair and makeup artists, put a new contract before their employees. They have until 2 o'clock in the morning to accept or reject it. If a strike is announced, Broadway and national tour productions would immediately cease operations.
A wholesale store chain is stepping up to help teachers fill their school supply lists. Sam's Club is offering teachers an annual membership for just $20. That's about 60% off the original price. The offer is open to pre-K employees all the way up to college professors, but it won't last long. You have until August 15th to apply. You can change your virtual background on video conferencing calls. Now you can change your look with virtual makeup. Teams users will be able to choose from Maybelline makeup looks to virtually try on in a video call. The filters are powered by, you guessed it, artificial intelligence. The looks will feature real-life makeup products from the beauty brand. The filters can be found in the video effects section on Microsoft Teams.
Still to come this noon, we continue our team coverage with live pictures right now from Sky 5 over Nash County. Take a look back at some of the damage there created by that EF3 tornado and the cleanup that is underway as well. It's coming up after the break. Also this noon, there is a shift in the time Americans are waking up. The trends from meal times to movie show times that are proving we're all becoming early birds.
Okay, so you didn't win the Powerball, but maybe you won a smaller cash prize from one of these lotteries. Take a look at the winning numbers. Welcome back. We continue our team coverage of the aftermath of the damage from that EF3 tornado that tore through Nash and Edgecombe counties.
We're going to take you high above Nash County as well. Again, Brian Schrader has been tracking the path of that tornado. Brian?
We are over the Pfizer plant here on the north side of Rocky Mount on 301. I want to zoom in here and show you that Speaker Tim Moore and Representative Alan Chesser just arrived here at the front of the plant. They're going to get a quick tour of the damage there. And of course, as you've been seeing on WRAL since yesterday, the back part of this Pfizer facility badly damaged in that tornado yesterday. They've done a lot to clean up the back parking lot area here, and I can tell you that just a moment ago I did see a train using the railroad tracks. Those were closed for quite a while last night as they continued the cleanup. We are expecting that the Speaker and Representative will be talking with the media after their tour, and WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is on the scene. Of course, the Pfizer facility is closed today. The parking lots are empty here, but take a look at the front lawn where utility crews have gathered, getting ready to go out and make the repairs on the power grid. A lot of work to be done in Nash and Edgecombe counties.
Brian, thank you for that. So much coordination between so many state resources when you have something as devastating as this.
You know, it was 24 hours ago when Kat Campbell was here in our studio, seeing that defined hook on radar and tracking this tornado and its path. She is now in Nash County to see the damage herself. Kat.
And, you know, it's really such a heartbreaking situation to be standing here in the same areas, on the same streets that I remember calling out the names of during our tornado warning coverage about an hour long yesterday. And one of the streets that really stood out to me was Battleboro and North Wesleyan Boulevard. Those were some of the areas that I was really concerned about. You know, it's populated. You know, there's so many people around that area at lunchtime. And I'm standing here at one of the areas that was impacted. So where I'm standing right now, this is St. Stephen's Loving Daycare. And, you know, they are a success story of following our tornado guidelines. They got the tornado warning. They had about 2 to 3 minutes to shelter 67 children and over a dozen staff. A lot of those children were infants. They were in rolling cribs that they moved away from the windows. And every single one of those children is okay today. But I want to walk you through just what a miracle this situation was as I was talking to some of their directors. The interior was okay. They had some of their roofing messed up here, and those unfortunately just so close to some of the babies' cribs. But you can see the trees down in their playground. The director of this daycare actually went to the front, locked the door because it blew open, and was able to see the tornado to really get all those kids under shelter. You can see that way. If we walk this way a little bit, I want to point out that the trees are down and they fell this way. So the trees right here fell in the direction right in front of me. And, you know, still a lot of damage here, even after they've had probably 24 community members helping clean up today. But if we move over here, I want to show you. So there's a house next door. There were 3 large trees that really damaged the roof in a severe way. Look at the direction that these trees are down, and you can really see it if you look right over there where the trees are down this way. So that's that rotation damage pattern that we see where the trees are in all different directions. And one more thing I want to show you is, you know, these kids had a really tough day yesterday. A lot of their parents work at Pfizer right next door. Pfizer is right there. That's how close that they were to, you know, some of that terrifying damage that Pfizer sustained. You can see their entire fence blew over this way. And, you know, they're just so thankful that given the path that this tornado took, it just barely missed them. But a lot of families here really are hurting today. Not only were their children, you know, in the path of this danger, and luckily the daycare did a phenomenal job of getting them to their safe places, having them shelter, cover their heads, but then you have their parents. You know, the daycare's right next door. Their parents from Pfizer also went through a traumatic experience today. So there are just a lot of families that are really, really hurting today. I talked with the owners of the daycare, and they described the experience of getting the alert, the actions they took, how they were able to respond so quickly and save more than 80 lives. You're going to hear from them coming up on our evening news and what it was like to really experience that tornado. I mean, they saved lives. It's such a heartwarming story to hear. But we hope these families can really recover quickly from this disaster. We know the community has been out here today helping a lot.
They need it, there's no question.
Kat Campbell, back to that child care facility that you were talking about. Thank goodness that the workers knew what to do. Prime examples of knowing what to do when a tornado hits the area. Thanks for those stories.
Also, when disasters like these strike, we're used to seeing the governor tour areas that are impacted. And Governor Roy Cooper is battling COVID-19 right now, so he is not out and about. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan caught up with the Secretary of the Department of Public Safety moments before he toured the damage in Nash County.
Yeah, we're here in downtown Nashville this morning talking with the Secretary of Public Safety for North Carolina. He's boots on the ground here to assess the damage. You just got here. I know that your thoughts and prayers are with the folks of Nash County.
Yes, devastating storm. On behalf of Governor Cooper, he definitely sends his support and his thoughts and prayers for the citizens of this area in Nash and Edgecombe. And he's dedicated resources for this area to make sure they get back to a normal way of life.
And talk about those resources that the governor's office is planning on using to help the folks and the citizens of Nash County start that recovery process.
Right now we have emergency management on the ground, as well as Secretary Sanders and her staff from the Department of Commerce is here to assess. We're doing storm assessments right now to see where the damage is, the results of the damage here in this area.
And I know you've probably looked at some of the footage initially. I mean, some of the hardest hit areas. I mean, things are just completely devastated. Houses are knocked to the ground. I mean, what are the thoughts from the Department of Public Safety today?
First, we're thankful for those families that survived, the families that are in the hospital, in our thoughts and prayers right now. And we're just very grateful, very grateful.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Secretary. Of course, keep it tuned to WRAL and WRAL.com for the latest. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News, Nash County.
Advance warning ensures that you can have the time to follow safety protocols during severe weather. So be sure that you have WRAL weather app loaded on your phone. This is the best way to make sure you get those alerts, those tornado warnings, if and when severe weather strikes.
The things people try to sneak past TSA security. The surprising discovery agents made at Boston's airport in someone's carry-on bag.
Plus, some federal lawmakers say it is time for the government to be open about UFOs, how they are pressing government agencies to come clean about what they know as to what's really out there.
Go Triangle will begin restoring more services that were cut due to a bus driver shortage. Starting August 6th, weekend routes 100, 300, 400, 700, and 800 will return, as well as weekday routes 805 and DRX. Services were reduced due to the lack of drivers. TSA agents made a surprising discovery this week at Boston's Logan International Airport. Agents say a mother and son traveling to Salt Lake City attempted to take 6 knives through a security checkpoint. Passengers can pack knives in checked luggage, but only plastic or round-bladed butter knives are permitted in carry-on bags. The pair turned the knives over to Massachusetts State Police and were allowed to continue their trip to Salt Lake City. No charges were filed.
Tonight, you can find out how RDU plans to add more parking. You're looking live at the airport right now. The Airport Authority will hold a public workshop tonight on the Park Economy 3 expansion project. Officials will share the results of an environmental analysis and review the expansion. It would add 7,000 new parking spaces to Economy Parking 3. Right now, it has just shy of 4,000 spaces. The lot offers lower rates and a bus shuttle that takes you to Terminal 1 and 2.
This will include, easier way to find your parking spot. It's going to have a facility there that potentially could have some concessions. It'll be a little bit nicer amenity that we currently have at Economy 3.
The workshop is happening from 5 to 7 tonight at the Airport Authority's offices on Trade Drive. The board plans to vote on the contract for the expansion next month.
There's a bipartisan push on Capitol Hill to make more information on UFOs available to the public. Find out who's behind this effort and what they're doing to get more transparency.
Plus, there are many health benefits associated with drinking espresso. Now scientists say there's an added benefit that could enhance long-term memory. Welcome back. Sky 5 flying over Nash County. You are looking at Highway 43. This is in the town of Dorchester, and you can see a little bit of a traffic jam there on Highway 43 as people are now out and about trying to see the devastation there as crews work to remove a lot of the debris that has been covering the roads from that EF3 tornado, but back-to-back traffic there on Highway 43 as people try to squeeze by on a one lane of traffic there.
Congress could pass an amendment requiring the government to disclose what it knows about UFOs. This time, it's backed by a big name in the Senate who says it's time to change the stigma on unidentified flying objects. Lauren Blanchard reports and explains why lawmakers want to attach that amendment to the nation's defense spending.
We may not be alone, and Congress wants more information on what's out there. Once a fringe idea, now backed by high-ranking Senate Leader Chuck Schumer. He and Senator Mike Rounds are hoping to pass an amendment to the 2024 NDAA, or the National Defense Bill, that would create more transparency around UAPs, or Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, the formal government name for UFOs.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And there are lots of theories floating around about what has happened with UAPs.
Bipartisanly backed, the UAP Disclosure Act would require the National Archives to gather government records on UAPs and disclose what's in them, or justify why the documents need to remain classified.
It'll be very helpful for the American people to see exactly what's there, because otherwise there are all sorts of rumors flying around.
Even the White House admits UFOs are having an impact on America's fighter pilots and their training.
They're not sure what they are, and it can have an impact on their ability to perfect their skills.
Some pilots want to make it easier and less professionally risky to disclose UAP sightings.
There's objects that are flying around that are behaving in ways that we don't understand how they perform. They're performing with characteristics that are faster and more maneuverable.
As Lauren Blanchard reporting, the GOP-led House Oversight Committee will hold a hearing with witnesses next week.
54 years ago today, millions of people around the world watched the first man walk on the moon. I'm sure many of you remember that day. On July 20th, 1969, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took their first steps on the moon. In the years since that historic landing, NASA has learned much more about the moon. Here are just a few facts from NASA. The moon is less than a third of the width of the Earth. And here's another way to think of it. If the Earth were the size of a nickel, the moon would be the size of a coffee bean. And something that we see often in the night sky.
Exactly, about 1/3. When it is clear, anyway, right. And we'll see in the days ahead.
Sometimes they're the supermoons. Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah. So Elizabeth Gardner of the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We are not stargazing here, but we're looking at this weather alert day and who's affected by it.
Yeah, we had that change just after noon, and that, of course, added in a few of our southwestern counties back into this level 2 risk for severe storms. We're watching a cluster of thunderstorms. It's going to be diving out of the northwest, and the big question is going to be how much of our viewing area will be affected by it. You can see up in the northeast where we don't have a risk for severe storms, and that's because we're going to see these systems diving off down to the south and east. So we have a level 1 risk for most of us, and then for parts of Moore County, Hope County, and Cumberland County, it's a level 2 risk, and that's close to what we saw yesterday. There was a little bit more of Cumberland County included in that yesterday, but damaging wind, a straight line wind, is likely to be the biggest threat that we'll see. Here's a look at what's happening right now. We have a cluster of these storms that's moving into the mountains of North Carolina, and another one that's back to the west. This one's actually producing some severe storms between parts of Illinois and down here toward Tennessee. So we're going to be watching, again, these carefully. The trajectory of these, a lot of it is going to be down into South Carolina, but the big question is how much of that will actually clip parts of North Carolina, especially in our viewing area. We push it out to 5 o'clock, and there may be some isolated cells that pop up up around 5 to 8 o'clock just because of our daytime heating, and we have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. But then we'll start to pick up some of these clusters of storms diving southward, and this definitely looks like the worst case scenario where we would see a line from, say, Raleigh down through Southern Pines and Fayetteville through Clinton and Goldsboro, and that would happen, say, just before and just past midnight as it moves on through. That's where we would have the best chance of seeing any severe storms. But one of the computer models shows all of that staying south into South Carolina. So it's one of those days you really want to stay tuned. Another thing that you should do for tonight is you should download the WRAL weather app, set it for alerts, because at midnight you might be asleep. It can alarm you and let you know if there's something dangerous coming your way, and you can turn on the television. We have a lot of big cumulus clouds that have started to pop up across our area. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. And of course, there's a live look at our newsroom there in Fayetteville. So we're looking at a lot of heat across the country right now. You see these dark brown areas. The cool air from Canada is likely to start to drift down in our direction. We're not going to see a huge cool down, but we should see a nice drop in our humidity. Tomorrow, our high is 95. Tomorrow, late in the day, the front moves through and drops our temperature to 87 Saturday and 89 on Sunday. There's a 30% chance of thunderstorms both of those days. But watch what happens with our humidity. The darker the green colors are, the more sticky it is, and it stays sticky for tomorrow. But our cold front moves through, and by early Saturday morning, we're starting to really dry out a little bit. And of course, that's going to help to make things feel a lot nicer across our area. So it should feel better for us over the weekend. Tracking the tropics, we have Tropical Storm Don that continues to wander around out here. It is just headed back out into the Atlantic and not likely to be a threat to land. One more of those coming off the coast of Africa right now that could develop in the next 7 days. So it should feel much more comfortable for us over the weekend as we have that potential drop in our humidity. We start to warm up just a touch next week.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Coffee may provide hope for patients with Alzheimer's. Coming up, what research reveals about memory development served with espresso. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. Neighbors, homeowners, business owners in Nash and Edgecombe counties are combing through debris, trying to salvage what they can after an EF3 tornado left this path of destruction. Today, North Carolina Insurance Commissioner and State Fire Marshal Mike Causey touring the damage there, the areas, and offering assistance. As crews are assessing the damage at Pfizer's plant in Rocky Mount, we're trying to figure out how it could affect production nationwide.
Today is WRAL Weather Alert Day. We're tracking the risk for severe storms in our viewing area. Less than an hour ago, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner told us there is now an increased level 2 risk for Moore and Hope counties and a portion of Cumberland counties, our southwestern communities. The triangle is under a level 1 risk for severe weather.
State House and Senate leaders are moving closer to a deal allowing more casinos in North Carolina. The proposal would allow casinos in Nash County, Anson County, and Rockingham County. A fourth casino could be added in the eastern region of the state to be run by the Lumbee tribe. The casinos would be part of what lawmakers are calling entertainment districts that will also include hotels, bars, and restaurants. The proposal could be in the state budget.
Your love for coffee could lower your risk of Alzheimer's disease. A new study in Italy found that a shot of coffee might prevent the development of Alzheimer's. Researchers analyzed how espresso affects a protein called tau. It plays a role in the development of Alzheimer's and can lead to certain symptoms such as memory loss. Research found the disease could slow down or stop because of espresso consumption. America may be turning into a nation of early birds. A Wall Street Journal report says activities are starting earlier, ending sooner. Some theaters are moving up their show times while more restaurants are closing earlier. It comes as more businesses try to accommodate people of all ages who want an earlier night in. We are all about early nights.
They're getting on our schedule.
There you go.
Not bad.
Love it.
NBC News Daily is up next. Your next local news update in 30 minutes, and you can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app.
Have a great day, everybody.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.